Jackie Kashian, Laurie Kilmartin.
Hey, Laurie, Kyle feels good. He's about to teach stand-up comedy. Did you hear about that?
Why? Kyle, why
are you
middle school bringing more people into this atrocity that is a...
Because we'll all be dead soon, and we need nice ones that we've inspired.
All right.
That's an excellent defense.
All right.
It's like I had to look in the mirror and justify it to myself somehow.
Right? Fair enough. I am back. Are you back? You're back. You're on your porch.
I was back last week too.
Right, you're home. You've been home for a week.
For about another week, and then I leave for New York for like a day. Then I go to Boston, and then I go to Europe. Now
Europa.
I've not heard back from anyone in Berlin. I don't know if that's the German way or what, but I'm like, well, if I'm just hanging out in Berlin and I have no spots, that's okay too. I would love one warm-up spot before I head over to Luxembourg. But I did fly out there. It was one of the cheaper flights to get to Europe, and I've always wanted to see it. So it'll be checked off. But I'd love to do a set there since I'm there, and there's allegedly a massive comedy scene. There's got to be room for me to do 5 minutes, just 5 minutes someplace. I don't need money, you know.
Wow, for somebody tattoo that somewhere and show it to you. I think maybe it's too soon because it's in a couple of weeks. Maybe it's too tight.
I don't know, or it's not soon. You know, I should have contacted them months ago. I don't really know.
That's what I meant. Well, hopefully, as we get closer, and this shout out to the people of Germany will do some good. Can't hurt. It's I just drove around Wisconsin 3 times, and
oh my God.
it was a lot, but it bookended with Mary Mac, so I win. And because I remember last week I told you about the gig in Hayward, and how fun it was. It was so fun. Followed by I drove to Milwaukee, and then I did what I do. I was okay. So the Tuesday I did the bowling alley, Landmark Lanes. It's over by Von Trier's. You guys, you know, the Oriental East Side, and it is still. They used to have dollar shots of Jag and Rumpelmans and Goldschlager, and they're up now to $5 a shot. But there's this all I can remember is these 2 giant flights of stairs. I used to go there and play video games and drink. I didn't bowl. I'm not a bowler, but I didn't. Going downstairs is a lot easier than going back upstairs. But now there's a little room off to the side that has a Tuesday show that has like 4 bucket spots, like open mic-y kind of sitch, and then 2 booked spots, and then an improv troupe that goes up twice and riffs off of the topics. And if they come up with any lines, you can have them if you want. And the audience was psyched.
I love it, and it's also too much comedy. We need to start paring down.
It was only 1 hour.
And Kyle,
it was tight.
That sounds fun. I had lots of I had some fun shows. I did 2 black boxes that are on Melrose this week.
Okay.
One of them's called the Hollywood Comedy, and I think it was opened by Jiaoling Summers. Do you know her? I met her at the stand in a green room. Yeah, okay. And so she opened this little black box that you walk in, and the stage is right to the left, and there's seats right in front of you, and they don't serve drinks. I just realized with both of these places, the other one was called like the best little comedy club near you or something like that. Have you heard of that one, Kyle?
No, I have not heard of that one either.
So they're both of them just in little tiny black rooms,
Yep.
and you don't have to get a liquor license. And it looks like, I mean, both times that they were pretty full. There are, I
Oh,
guess what
cool.
I'm saying is there are lots of people who are not drinking and just want to see comedy sober.
Yeah.
And
Why so
even
surprised?
even
And-
even even thirsty, because it's not like they were selling drinks or anything. At the Glendale room they do sell Cokes and stuff, but it looked like it was just you bring your own shit, or you don't you
right,
go,
or you just
you're
sit there for an
thirsty.
hour and a half. Yeah, and don't have, maybe you have a water
Yeah,
bottle.
but they were fun shows, and
Cool. How
uh,
much time did you get to do?
I would say like 15s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then I had a store set at the in the OR that
Nice.
so I feel like I'm getting a little more comfortable in that room. I'm getting tips from other women who have worked it and were like, here's what I learned, which is fuck with the crowd a little bit. Don't go right into material. I did kind of figure that out after a material
that
set.
sounds kind of New Yorky. Good for them.
Yes. I did a woman, I did some crowd work, and a woman referenced a show that I hadn't heard of or seen. And she goes, she was young. She goes, it was from my childhood in the 2000s. And so I'm like, oh, okay, bitch, you're coming for me that way? Okay, fine. So that was a little fun. And yeah. And then let's see. I did the haha. I was kind of
wow.
I was
Wow.
parking my caboose all over town.
Yeah, you were willing to go in and out of the valley. Nice.
Haha was fun. It was early show Saturday, and there were a nice little crowd there. Great. It's a great room.
Sure.
So, yeah.
I've
cool.
never been. I'm good with that. And but the what else? Okay, so I did the Tuesday, and then the Thursday I had to drive back to Eau Claire, which is on the other side. It's more by Hayward. It's kind of over by Minneapolis.
Mhm.
And so I went there on Wednesday and to do the Thursday night room that Beth Stelling had just done on Sunday. And he's been doing stand-up there for 9 years. It's he's got a pretty good little scene there. He had a couple of openers for me, and then the feature was a guy from Minneapolis, very funny guy. And the AC went out. There was some. It was kind of a. I didn't realize how much new stuff I had. I
Mhm.
literally at 30 minutes in, and I remember I've been home for 5 weeks, doing 7 to 15s.
Right.
And so this was my first 45, and I've literally just for 5 weeks been working on my favorite new 35 minutes. And I realized in Eau Claire that I could do an album next year. And I just have to put the other 25 together.
Mhm.
And so there were a lot of people who came to see me. So at around 35, I had to call for my notebook. Like,
What?
I was like, Squire, get my notebook and my sword.
You didn't want to do any old stuff? You just wanted to do only new stuff?
I only wanted to do new stuff, and I had not planned enough. And I felt bad when I got off stage, but the booker, he had a hard day himself and was doing shots to beat the band. But his mom, there was trouble. But so I was like, that was weird, and I'm sorry that it was weird. He goes, everyone had a great time. I found it fascinating, and it's a Thursday night in Eau Claire, Jackie. Don't worry about it. And which I thought was incredibly generous of him and very sweet. And everybody had a good time. I sold a couple of beanies in a room that didn't have any air conditioning, and it was 80 degrees.
Nice.
So that was something.
That's great.
Yep. And so that was my Thursday. the Friday was back in Milwaukee. So it's 5 hours each way. And so I drive back to Milwaukee on Friday, and I do the Don't Tell in Milwaukee. And the Don't Tell is at a gym, a spinning gym called Spire Fitness in the 3rd Ward in downtown Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
And that was sold out. And that was and I sold maybe $100 in merch there.
Jesus.
And then Saturday, so Friday night I got a hotel in between Milwaukee and Madison, so that I didn't have to drive all the way into Milwaukee. But I made such good time on that Friday that and I've had a lot of lunches with my dad this week. A lot of lunches. A lot of hey, let's go to Walmart and look for the cheapest bread in the world. And can we go play some shell game with $100 over at the bank? So so when I got there, so on Wednesday I go to Eau Claire. I'm there Wednesday and Thursday, and on Friday I come back. But now it's been 2 days since I've seen him, and and it's not even ostensible. I went to see my dad, right?
Jackie,
And
he's 85, right?
87.
Holy shit! Yeah, of course.
Well, but when I drove to so Thursday before the Thursday night show, I drove another hour and saw my brother Phil, who lives in like this little town about an hour from Eau Claire, and I got to see my nephew and my great nephew, and I forgot to bring him a trinket, and he's 2. Luckily, he's 2, so you can stop at a Dollar General and get a truck. And
or not get him anything. He won't remember.
He will not remember, but his you don't know. I have 16 nieces and nephews. I got to keep my chops up. So I got the next generation. So the yeah, so I drive back and I do the Don't Tell. The Don't Tell is really interesting. A lot of local Milwaukee comics, obviously. There was a guy, everybody was super funny. There was one guy who brought his trumpet on stage. He was in the marching band, and he talked about being in the marching band, and then he would play a note or a run, and then he would explain that as the punchline. I was like, this is some seriously alt comedy going on here, brother.
That sounds like that sounds like a very Minneapolis inspired sort of set, just going off of Maria and her shaved head and violin days.
Right. And so, but this is downtown Milwaukee, and his name's Carter, and he's got a silver trumpet. And so they were all really funny, actually, but there was a young man. He felt like, and he was funny. Just want you to know that. It just isn't my favorite thing when he was Pakistani and he opened his set doing a Pakistani accent. And then did some very dark, some very funny stuff. And then 2 minutes into his set, he was like, I don't actually talk like that. I was born here. And so, but he had also said that he had a stutter. And I was like, well, is the stutter real? You know, because he had a Pakistani accent and he had a stutter. And I didn't know if he was faking both of those things.
Well, I would say if people, and not to slander the Midwest, but people, maybe white people in the Midwest, when they see a Pakistani American, are going to make assumptions, and he's playing with people's assumptions, right?
Well, I've seen there was a Japanese woman who did it at the Hollywood Improv. It's not necessarily just it isn't just the Midwest.
Yeah, it's just playing with what people are.
Yeah, no, and I've seen many people do it, and I'm not saying he wasn't funny. I'm just saying it's not my favorite thing because I feel lied to, and then I have to adjust. And he said that there was another problem with it too, with him and his speech, and that made it unique. Right? He had a unique accent, and then he also had a unique stutter, and so the the end of his set, he did 10, and the first 2 minutes was with the accent and the stutter, and the last 8 minutes was with the stutter. And but it's experimentation with the art form. That's all. There's no reason not to.
Well, you start off by saying you don't like it, and now you're his
Well,
greatest
no, I
champion.
don't. No,
What is it, Jackie?
no. I'm saying you do whatever the fuck you want. I don't like it. That doesn't mean it's not funny, and it doesn't mean he
Right.
doesn't get to do it, and it doesn't mean that other people don't think it's the best idea, right? Like some people might love to be tricked, but my stand-up comedy is so autobiographical and straightforward that for anyone to,
Well,
when I see someone coming from someplace else, I overthink it. So that's all I'm saying.
all right. One, Hannah Gadsby says that all stand-up comedy is tricking people. You're punching little buttons, you're creating tension and tricking them and misdirecting them. Maybe that's all of what stand-up is. But also, I mean, you gotta give him props for having a stutter in 2 dialects. I mean, that's not easy.
There was an amazing stuttering comic that I heard at Flappers 2 months ago. I think I mentioned him. The Armenian guy from Canada. I think he's
I don't
from
think you
Toronto.
did.
He
Okay.
was raised in Beirut, but he lives in Toronto, I think.
No,
And,
you didn't tell me this. I would have remembered one of these 5 unique details.
Right, and there's 3 more unique details because he's like,
What?
I have a stutter. I went to the American English school in Beirut because my father's in some business or whatever. And so he speaks 6 languages and he stutters in all of them.
Yeah.
It's a really funny. Yeah, it's a really funny thing. And then he closed his set, the Canadian guy, with his he said, weirdly enough, I don't stutter when I sing. It's a different part of the brain. And he closed with a song that was very funny.
Remember Mel Tillis from our childhood from variety shows? He was the same way.
Was
Do
he?
you remember that guy? He was a singer.
I remember his name. Yeah.
He had a terrible stutter and then he would sing. Yeah, same thing. I think that's not uncommon amongst stutterers.
That's what I heard, is that it's a different part of the brain. So anyway, it was a great show, super fun, and sold a couple $100 merch there. That was good.
Jesus Christ, Jackie. Your merch,
and then
you are moving merch every gig you go to practically.
Well, here's Saturday. I did an outdoor music festival in Madison, Wisconsin with Mary Mack, and Sherlonda Sharp, Minneapolis comic, who had moved from Virginia.
I wonder if I worked with her.
She was really funny. She's been doing it about 10 years, has just moved to Minneapolis probably 2 or 3 years ago. And she was great. Mary Mac's so freaking funny, but I had to do another 45. And we were following bands. It didn't start until 10. And I was staying in a here's the thing. I went to college in Madison, Wisconsin. I can't tell you how many times I've been off campus. I've only been to State Street. I can't even tell the difference between the 2 lakes. So I'm pretty sure I was by the other big lake, and it was rock and folk bands all day, all night. There were food trucks, and it was really, really fun. I was staying at a 4th floor walk up. And so I changed into my show clothes in my sister's Ford Explorer. Near the venue.
Talking. This is the 90s, Jackie.
Now we're talking.
Now I'm starting to connect with the story.
Well, as I was putting on my shoes outside of my car, a couple walked across the street and said, "Jackie Kashian, right?" And I was like, "Yes." And they said, "Are you going to have merch tonight?" They bought some merch out of the back of my trunk, Laurie. Speaking of merch,
was it the underpants you had just changed out of?
No, it's a dad shirt. I'm discontinuing the dad shirt. I'm out of XLs. I kind of want to. If I'm gonna do another dad shirt, I might just take one of his pieces of art and then do one of his quotes. But right now, I've
Well,
got made of bees merch coming out of my ears. So
I just found out a minimum order of my book in hardback would be 1,500 copies, which is
no, I thought it was
$15,000. Yeah, it just got a lot
prohibitive.
bigger. I was like, that
1,500.
is
I thought it
that's
was
I
5.
can't do that. I was like, I could do 500. It's about $11, plus shipping. So say 12 per book, but 1,500, that is ridiculous. I would have to
That's
be on tour
undoable.
for 5 years straight to sell all that stuff. And
Which
where
you
would I
will,
put it?
but you'd have to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're not going to be on tour for 5 years straight. But there's nowhere to store it. You have to come up with an initial 15 grand.
Here's the thing: if I die after I sell 200 copies, my son's got to sell 1,300 hardbacks. That's how I think, Jackie. Try not to get anything that's unmanageable for my estate. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, that's a drag.
It
Interesting.
is a drag.
Huh.
When I snapped up those copies at Powell's and was selling them at Milwaukee, I was like,
Yeah.
I like this. I don't mind this.
Yeah.
I'm not embarrassed, or I'm not, apologetic or anything like that.
Right, you have
well.
to believe in your merch, and if you don't, that's why I sell union-made clothings, because I don't want to. I don't want to sell a $4.50 paper mache T-shirt that
Right.
I'm charging $20 for, that is going to fall apart. And I don't want it to say, I've spent too many years selling T-shirts that said shit like Wisconsin with Bucky relieving himself behind a tree.
And Bucky didn't.
No,
That's
the
the
Wisconsin
only Bucky
Badgers.
I know in sports.
The
Okay.
Wisconsin Badgers. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
Bucky the
I know
Badger.
that from an Aaron O'Connor joke. She used
Bucky
to
Dent?
her dad was a sports writer, and she had a joke about how she didn't know anything, but I don't know how she got to this, but the punchline was, what's Bucky Dent's real name? And I didn't know what the fuck she was talking about, but it got a good laugh, and it always stayed in my head. So there's 2 Buckys. Okay, got it.
There are. And yeah, they were just yeah, I seem to have done something with my hair. Talk amongst yourself while I readjust my headset.
Okay. Well, let's see. I had fun shows. I'm posting like a fiend. Who am I talking to if you're not listening?
Me.
Okay.
It's coming
It's
out of
as
my
if-
headphones. I
as
just
if we're
needed
in
to.
a conversation in the car. And you're not, you're just texting. And I have Jackie, I've been very religious. I have a Google Sheets of when I post a video.
You're
I
a
have it listed
social.
on which thing I
You're
posted it on.
you're Laura Vogel's wet dream. I have not
Really?
kept any. She's like, keep track, and I'm like, huh. I wonder if I will. And then I
Well,
haven't. But I've been trying to do it how she told me to, but I haven't been. I should keep track of it. How do you do it? Yeah.
I just posted one this morning. I didn't wait till 6:00 tonight. I did not use any tags, and just doing okay. The thing is I can't tell if it's how I'm posting it, or if it's the joke or something, or if it's the fact that something was part of a Conan set, or if something was a club set. There's so many factors that go into whether or not Instagram throws it on a feed.
Right.
So it's hard to tell. But I don't know what else to do but just keep putting stuff up there. I mean, my follower count's going up. I'm close to 43,000 now.
Oh, there you go. Which is huge.
Like
That's doubled
30,000 more than I was a month ago. So
right. That's huge.
Mostly it's Knowing Glace Domingo and Gen X Men. Those are the two, and they're generating a lot of comments, especially Gen X Men. It's getting out to men, and they're pretty upset about it.
Your comedy's getting out to men.
I now realize that's the key. I need to upset somebody with a clip.
Ah,
Tomorrow is the anniversary, 4-year anniversary of my mom's passing. So what I took a chunk of my material that I did on my special. I'm not taking it from the special because you can't put it up on TikTok, and they strip the sound from it. Comedy Dynamics
oh,
does.
right. Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
just gonna
800
take
does
the
that.
chunk.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I'm gonna taking a chunk from a Comedy Fort set, and I'll put it
Good.
up there and just say you can see the whole thing uh, on my special if you know go to XYZ and get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think I'm just gonna keep banging those out until I can't take it anymore and
Right.
see what happens by the end of the year, you know?
Right. Right. I mixed a bunch of, sort of family photos and talking to the camera photos
Yeah.
or videos and just trying to keep it interesting and not be yeah, the stand up it's interesting what I can't tell. I know that Laura knows. She's got a real handle on it. So I can't even remember. I'm so tired because of all of the driving. And then because the
Yeah.
morning, yeah, last night I got back, my flight was delayed and I didn't get back until midnight, which was 2 in the morning. And then I'm up by 8 because I had to take Chris to the doctor today.
Hmm.
And it was wrestling with 2 different oxygen tanks in the car and then driving to Westwood and then getting a push, like a wheelchair, leaving her. And, Maria used to do a joke about how, just a person in a wheelchair just facing a wall. So I'm very conscious when I when I leave Chris and she's in a wheel. I'm like, let her at least. It'd be like she was sitting on a bench, right?
Yeah.
Waiting by security, not pointed at a wall looking at a fire extinguisher, right? I mean, that's not
Hmm.
ideal. And so it was, her appointment was at 11. She was done by 11:45. It was a 4.5 hour project. So, yeah, but
That's tough.
it's yeah.
Well,
So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to figure out what I had other gigs and I can't remember what they
well,
were.
we can take a break and you can search your phone and not do it
Okay.
live on the podcast. Or we could just you could just do that.
Well, that was the break. I let you.
Oh,
That was
okay.
a right. That was a
That was
thumbs
our
up.
break.
That was me going,
I
yeah,
was being
do whatever the fuck
sarcastic.
you
I
want
didn't
to
know
do.
that was a break.
And now I'm being sarcastic. Do whatever the fuck you want. You're doing great. So I'm hoping. Now, do you have a comic of the week? You said you had a comic of the week.
I do. I do have a
Cool.
comic of the week. So this gal, very funny. I sent you a couple clips from Instagram. She lives in Philly. Her name is Kirsten Michelle Cills, Cills, not S. And she has cystic fibrosis, which is terminal. Like she is dying, and there's no
Right.
escaping that.
Right.
And unless fucking science stops focusing on apps and Uber and making things more convenient and save a fucking life or two.
Right.
But she has, and she performs with an oxygen, oxygen going into her nose. I don't know. No, that's the thing over. I forget what it's called. But she's
It's
got
called a
really,
cannula.
is that it? She has
Yeah.
really funny, dark shit about it. And
Good.
I just watched a couple jokes. I'm like, holy shit. Amazing. It's weird because I think there's comics that have been doing comedy a long time and then they have a health problem and then they start talking about it, which is what a lot of us, if we're not,
Yeah.
hasn't happened, it will.
If you live long enough, yes. Yeah.
And then there's people that start comedy with their health problem. So
Yeah.
you have to deal with the audience, in most cases seeing it, and you have to learn to do stand up while you're making these people comfortable with whatever they're looking
Right.
at, you know.
Right.
So she has that burden because she has oxygen constantly going into her nose. So anyway, I was just super impressed by her. She was really, really funny.
That's
And
great. What's her name again?
Kirsten, Kirsten, Michelle Cills. And check her out.
Yeah.
Check her out
Link in
now.
the notes.
Don't wait on that. How about that?
Yeah.
Get right
Link
on
in the
it.
notes. Link in the notes. And that's cool. It makes me want to talk about the comics I know that have died, but let's wait. Give her 5 minutes. So
It did make me think, like giving people their flowers while they're alive instead of, waiting till after and be like, oh, I was gonna, and I did think of Heather Snow. Do you remember Heather Snow?
Yes,
6 Feet of
that's
Snow?
exactly who I was thinking of, was Heather Snow, who was very, very funny. Denver comic, yeah.
Yes, a young woman. Kirsten's very young and just, I don't know, super, super. Hopefully she'll beat the odds and someone will figure some fucking shit out. But at the moment,
I still have pictures of Heather Snow on my phone, actually.
And really? I did stand up in stilettos with her.
Oh, that's right.
Do you remember that show?
I don't. Yes, I feel like
Lady Comics.
I did it right. It was a women in comedy freak show, and the first season they took footage of your feet. They didn't do it the season I did it.
Season 2, because these bunions do not get photographed, and that is in every contract I sign.
I think Maria did it first season, and they were like, "Yeah, we would like to watch the shoes you're going to wear on stage if you could walk across the."
Oh my God! Was she wearing clogs?
Of course. Yes, she's a clog wearer. And
oh my God!
I don't know
Jesus
if anyone
Christ.
was wearing stilettos. I probably wasn't. I was probably wearing a hockey boot. I don't. I'm like, this is insane that they want. I just posted a thing that it's getting a lot of views. I don't know that I get any money or credit or anyone gives a damn. But it was Linda Ronstadt being interviewed in
by Gary,
Australia.
John Lane or something? Yeah. Oh, did you post it? Did you find it?
Yeah, it came up in my feed, and I was like, this really sums up what it's like doing stand-up sometimes as a woman. I was asked earlier this week by a comic to weigh in about some sexism that he had experienced, and I did not and will not. I was not there.
Right.
It's not. And the way Linda Ronstadt put it was because she was talking about the guy was so condescending too. Go to my Instagram. He was just like, because I guess she was dating Jerry Brown, the governor of California at the time. So it's 1983, 3 years before Chernobyl, and the beginning, not the beginning, but well, the apartheid protests are just starting to blow up a lot about South Africa.
Right.
And there's been excuse me, a lot of anti-nuke protests as well.
Mm-hmm.
And she has taken part in them.
Off of 3 Mile Island. Yeah.
And so this guy is like, hey, so you date Jerry Brown, I got to ask you about politics. And she essentially is like, you don't actually have to. I do music. He does politics, and that's our jam. And he's like, well, I understand you also played South Africa, and that's that some people wouldn't be happy about that. And she's like, well, if I didn't perform in every place where I don't agree with the government, and do not mistake it, I do not agree at all with what the government's doing in South Africa. I couldn't work a lot of countries. I couldn't work Australia. And she's interviewing for Australian television. And she's like, I couldn't work most of the United States. I couldn't work any number of countries. And he just kind of laughed at her, and I was like, Linda Ronstadt's a badass. So I've been listening to Linda Ronstadt.
That was the soundtrack to my dad's hospice was Linda Ronstadt. When I want to cry about my dad, I listen to Linda Ronstadt.
Oh wow.
And then Roseanne Cash, because she cries about her dad in her song. So well, I'm
Oh
in
my
tune with the
God.
ladies. Yes, that's
Right.
when I want to dip in. Yeah. So I had this thing happen. So I posted one of my jokes that I originally did, Jackie, timestamp, on a 2014 special about my dad dying.
All right.
It came out in 2016, and then I did this, and then it was on CISO that went bankrupt. So, to me, it wasn't out at all.
Right.
So then I did it in 2018 because it set up another joke about my dad that hadn't been on my special. And I just posted the joke, and the joke is it's tough to lose a parent. It's even tougher if you're hoping to lose the other parent first.
Right.
My dad's last words to me were, "Ha, she's your problem now." Right?
That's right.
So 2 people, men, have come in my comments and go, "Oh, that's a Louis C.K. joke." And so after the second one, I'm like, I Google, Louis did a similar premise of the one you love is the one that dies first.
Right.
In 2023, which would be 9 years after I did my thing. I don't think he saw my thing at all. I think it's parallel thinking. And I think a lot of us are losing parents, and about half of us will have that emotion. And I'm going to say losing the wrong parent first is now a setup. How you take it is the punchline, right?
Right.
But it's like, you guys can do a little bit of math and figure out who wrote that joke first. And I'm sure someone else wrote it. I'm sure Aristophanes wrote it as well, right?
Right. And guess what? Yeah.
Yeah. The idea is that the wrong parent, whatever it is, that's a universal thing that happens to about half of us, right? So, but they don't go to Louis and go, "That's a Laurie Kilmartin joke." It's I'm going to say it's a guy comedy fan via podcasts, right? They only listen to other guy comics talking. So they only think guys are comics. And so if a woman did it, she must have taken it, or it's derived from a male comedy thought. And it's like, no, motherfucker. Actually, I wrote that one 9 years before his came out. Why don't you go to his site and tell him he's doing a Laurie Kilmartin joke? But don't, because he's not. His also goes in a different direction. The other thing is these people don't know what jokes are and what parallel thought is and what is the same thought or not,
Right.
Really annoying.
Right. Well, it happened to me today on, I forget which bit it was, but somebody said, "Isn't that a Joey Diaz joke?"
Oh my God.
To me, and you know what I did? I went back to that person's profile, saw if they were following me. They are not. Blocked them and deleted that comment because it isn't anything to do with me.
Right.
It genuinely, if Joey Diaz does a joke that is kind of like my joke about my dad, sure, okay. Tom Papa on his special has a joke about giving his cat diabetic cat medicine that was genuinely $3,000 a year, 3,000 new cats. That's the punchline. I wrote the joke in 2001. In 2003, it was animated. In 2020, it was on his special. And he knew that, but I think it was part of the set. And he didn't steal it, so he didn't care. And he was right, because it doesn't matter. Just right. I remember Dave Mordahl, who, very funny comic, he tagged a couple of my jokes back in like 93 or 94, and he became a radio guy. Anyway, he was so mad about somebody stealing some joke of his. I was sitting with him and Matt Weinhold at Knuckleheads in the Mall of America in probably 1998. And it's Matt Weinhold, myself, Dave Mordahl. Dave Mordahl's mad because his Ken and Barbie divorce joke, Barbie got all of Ken's stuff, was the punchline. Ken doesn't have any stuff. He does now. But at the time, he didn't have any stuff anyway. But Dave was super mad about it because he saw somebody do it. And he was like, somebody took that joke from me and went out there and did it. And Matt Weinhold and I looked at each other, and we barely knew each other. And Matt goes, just write another joke, man. It's not that big of a deal. It's yeah. So it's gonna happen, and you
Well,
have to,
like,
and
it's
you can't.
yeah,
Yeah, you can't get mad. I mean, you can obviously,
but
much like
my
you could do an accent. Yes.
my my point, or my what annoys me is these guys who don't know anything about comedy. They just
Yeah.
listen to podcasts. They think they're comedy fans, and they think the male comics are the real comics, and the women are the comedians, ENNES, right?
Right.
And
That
so
they've somehow that they're the stealers of
yeah, like
jokes.
we're imitating the men, and so they love to try to catch you and stuff, and so that someone would say that about, you know, you Joey Diaz to you. It's like, did you go to Joey Diaz and tell him he's doing a Jackie Cation joke? Doesn't even enter their brains.
Right.
So
Right.
it's
And of course they
that's
shouldn't.
a different.
Yes.
No, they shouldn't. But it's like the way they look at comedy, and the
Yeah.
people they listen to talking about comedy they're all men, and all these men are only talking about male comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
whatever.
My nephew was just grilling me about Rogan and all of his cohort this weekend. He's
Yeah.
25. He's like, Rogan's not funny. And I was like, you don't need to tell me. I've never seen him do stand up. I've never listened to the show. Every clip I've ever seen of Joe Rogan has been some button pushing, just weird, like a talk show thing. So, I mean, if he's the greatest comic in the world, nobody's showing me that clip. I'm not seeing that clip. So he's like, well, do you know this guy and that guy? And I'm like, I am not getting good vibes from those names. I can't picture them, but that is not. And then he was like, do you know? I'm going to type the name. That's what I'll do.
Okay.
I'll type. Is there a chat? There is.
sure
Let me
is.
just find it.
Even when I hear good male comics talking about comedy they love, they tend to only talk about men. I feel like like they have to remind themselves, oh yeah, women are comics too, and then go off into some pre-programmed conversation that they've written ahead of time, so they sound like they are consider women comics as well. It's
Right,
just annoying.
yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
You know what? There'll be another in about 2 more generations. That won't be the problem. And so, oh yeah, that guy. What about
Yeah,
him?
that guy. That he was like, do you know him? He's really funny. And I was like, is he? Because I haven't seen it, but okay.
I
He
think
has really good stage
yeah.
presence. I think he has amazing
think he can
stage
be funny.
presence.
Yes.
Yeah. And well, and he's been doing it long enough that even if he's not always funny, he's always
Yeah.
entertain. He owns the stage. He
Yes.
he has the right cadence. He's doing stand-up comedy in the, but I couldn't name a joke of his, is what I'm saying. And that's usually a
Right.
sign that
Thank you.
like I can name 1 or 2 of yours. And I can even name a couple of Kyle's. You know what that means? Kyle's funny. Kyle Clark,
Yep.
you guys get out there.
Mhm.
And so but yeah, it's just,
Well, I mean, there's
yeah.
another problem of I think comics think of podcasts as stage time, and it's not remotely the same as performing in front of crowds. And so, you know, they get a
No.
little, they start to merge the two, and then you'll see a stage performance and it's like, that was pretty fucking rambly, you know, and did a mattress commercial 2 minutes in. What the fuck?
Yeah, tomorrow's Dork Forest is about documentaries. It's with I think Jeff Cerulli is his name. He's got a new new special coming out. And so I have a lot of PR people going, "Hey, can my client be on the Dork Forest?" And I'm like, "Yes, everyone can be on the Dork Forest, but I don't know when. And it can't be, I can't do 52 weeks of straight white guys. I just don't want to. My audience is more diverse than that. And even the straight white guys get sick of other straight white guys in the world of the Dork Forest, which is admirable of them. Congratulations. We're all like, what was it? My travel day was so long yesterday that I was sitting at the flight was delayed. So I'm sitting in Detroit, waiting for the thing. And there is a couple behind me, and this woman is talking about how she couldn't get seated at one of the restaurants. The woman just let her stand there, even though there was a sign that she had come up and turned the sign that said "Seat yourself." And she was a black woman, and she was like, I don't even want to think that this is still happening in 2024. But I stood there for like 10 minutes, and this other black woman came up to me and said, I stood there for 10 minutes as well. That woman doesn't necessarily want us to eat here. So just go have a seat.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Right. And she was like, I can't. And she was just complaining to her it was a travel, I don't think he was her boyfriend or whatever.
Wait,
but
this was an airport restaurant?
Yeah, it was an airport restaurant.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
So, right. And I was just sitting there, and I was so, I mean, I was just like, what the fuck? And of course it's still happening, right? It's like all the isms, they're still happening. So it's just a drag.
Yes.
To put it lightly. Hey, do you want to take another break?
Okay.
Let's take another break. I'm sort of getting a second wind 45 minutes in, Laurie.
I'm going to say that's your first wind. And
I would like the title to be called First Wind, and people will think it's about farts. And then they'll say, women only write about farts. Hey, are you sad that you didn't get to go to the Pope? I was going to ask you.
Oh, I can't believe how disturbed that made me. Like, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I tweeted, but I definitely feel like this is true. Am I the only one that saw Spotlight? Do you guys not know what the Catholic Church did? Condoned, avoids paying for, and still is shirking and shrinking or shirking or whatever. And
Shirking.
Everyone's going in to say hi to the top guy. But then
he's the most left-wing Pope we've ever had. And when I say we, I mean
that
you.
Is meaningless. That is meaningless because that's yes, it is because
the guy
he's still
before
against
him was
abortion.
was actually a Nazi, though.
I know,
the guy
but
before him.
I'm not saying you're the head of the Catholic Church being left wing is ridiculous. It's still Republican.
Okay. Fair enough.
Against gay rights, no trans rights, and no abortion. It's no, you're not allowed. I don't know. I'm tired. I can't remember everything they're against. But I was like, okay, so if I gotten an invitation to go to the Vatican, would you take it? Fuck yeah. But then
it's hard to if there's a two-legged dog reciting poetry, I'm gonna go, and I got a ticket to see it. I was trying to think though who I wouldn't have gone. Like if Harvey Weinstein wanted to hang out with me, would I because you don't necessarily want a picture with the guy, right?
With the Pope? I guess not. I mean, the other thing, like Conan was there, right? And he
Colbert.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot how Catholic late night is. Fallon. But
Gaffigan.
So he got a rosary that he said he was going to give to his mom, and I'm like, if my parents were alive and I could get something from the Pope to give to my dad, fuck yeah, of course. That makes sense. It was just weird seeing this whole group of mostly male comedy people hanging out with the Pope.
Right, there was Tig Notaro and Whoopi Goldberg. Those were the two women I saw.
Yeah, it rubbed me the wrong way. But then I started thinking, I don't know.
Who books
individually, that? I get it. It was just strange that they were all together at the Vatican. It was really
weird. Super weird. And I know that the Vatican, but I don't know who I wouldn't. If somebody, and granted, I'm not Catholic, so it would not have come up. But, and someone's going to ask me if I want to meet the Catholicos, which is the Armenian Pope in the holy city of Echmiadzin, I might go. I'm not, and talk about conservative. Are you kidding? Women are not allowed on the altar. So, it's
right.
But I will say that it's all in Armenian, and so I don't speak Armenian, so I've been able to make up whatever they're talking about my entire life. So
yeah, that was weird to see all that going on. And then it's like, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, because do you remember like the stories when CK first apologized and then took it back when he recanted his own apology? And was it Chris
Did
Rock
he?
and Gerard Carmichael? Yeah, he said it wasn't that bad, and then because a year later he said
Jackie, it's all blurring into one icky feeling about stand-up comedy. I can't even remember individual details of individual men.
right. Some of them are nice. I like to. That's why I don't like to watch specials. Sadly, Chris Foley. Why am I watching another comedy special? Because I just, I like to watch. Because the men that I see in person, like that guy, I forget his name, that I saw in Milwaukee, he was really funny, and I got to sort of the whole picture. Like I got to see the thing that isn't my favorite thing about stand-up comedy, but also realize he's 7 years in, right? He's 7 years into stand-up. 4 years from now, he might lean more edgelord. He might lean more, personal, personal stand-up. So you can't call it, because stand-up comedy, you don't know. I don't know what my next joke is going to be, for crying out loud, right?
No, and you do spend a lot of time trying on different personas and seeing what fits and what you can pull off and all that stuff. It does take a while to settle in.
Remember that point of view that they weren't wrong, that you needed to find a point of view, but they kind of were wrong, but not entirely.
But what they meant by point of view is give us a log line for your sitcom. It wasn't saying I'm half this and half that isn't a point of view. Those are facts about your life. A point of view is something you get from living a long time and being kicked around and going, how am I going to respond to this? That's a point of view, but that's not actually what a lot of these people are looking for. They just wanted tool time. They wanted the guy who is married to Patricia Heaton and fixes shit. They wanted that. That's not a point of view. Those are circumstances.
Right, but I remember before the big comedy boom where everybody was getting sitcoms, where there was some talk of just sort of having a point of view and owning the stage and stuff. And then it did become about log lines and sitcoms and nonsense. But but you have to figure out, and if you're a really good comic, in my opinion, it changes as you do.
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
of course.
I have one other hot topic.
Yeah.
Should I save it, or should I just ask?
Jackie, no.
Here it is. And you've seen it. Andy just showed it to me. I have these words to say. What the fuck? King Charles's portrait.
Okay, Jackie. What do you want to know?
And it's got to, there's no way people have not said, is he standing in colonialism blood just coming out of it? Because it's this.
Right. Everyone's saturated in red.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a very red mist that he's sort of standing in. And it's a cool piece of art. I'm not saying it isn't cool.
It actually is. I'm surprised that they okayed it because of the symbolism that everyone immediately read into it. And then that's a deeper symbolism. The top layer is he's, coated in menstrual blood because he initially, you don't know the story?
No. What?
Jackie, where are you from?
Is anyone doing this? I need someone to do enough stand-up comedy about this for me to know the actual reasons of things that are happening, especially the monarchy. I can't.
No, because many years ago, while he was cheating on Diana with Camilla, someone recorded a phone call. It's like somebody with like a little ham radio. They tapped into a line and they overheard then Prince Charles telling his lover, "I wish I was your tampon."
Oh my Christ!
You didn't know that, Jackie?
Kyle, did you hear that?
I had, but
it's
insane.
Okay, all right. Who knew I was missing a news story? That's first of all that
hell of a pickup line.
I don't. Yeah. So I don't want to know anything more about their relationship.
So in response to your comments about his portrait, that was number one. It's like no one said, "Hey, Could you make
It
it
wasn't.
blue instead? Could it be coming out of
Yeah.
the blue or the color green or any color but red? No one said
Yeah.
anything. Like
Right.
I don't understand these people. And the
PR
they're
jokes.
missing massive amounts of common sense, right? And then the colonial blood is a deeper. Both readings are not flattering to him or the monarchy.
At all.
So yeah,
Right. And then Andy was like, I don't know if Andy had ever seen it, because he said, do you think it's like, because it's a non-traditional portrait, right? Usually those portraits of these leaders, presidents, kings, whatever, they're standing next to a tree. There's a
with the
wooden
dog.
chair.
Yeah.
There's a dog, there's a horse, there's a gun, there's a sword. And the Obama painting, he's sitting against green leaves. He's got like a vine all around him. Did you see that?
Different painter completely.
Of
Yeah,
course, of course.
Yeah, people
But-
are
but-
going rogue now. Jackie,
Yeah.
I'm angry though. You said hot topic. You brought up something that's 6 weeks old. I've already discussed with Larry Wilmore on Love It or Leave It. And I was all excited for some new comedy gossip.
Oh,
You're like,
Nope.
should I save it? I'm like, what is it?
what
an
could it
old
be?
Story?
That about the monarchy. It was the only thing that I had. The only other, it's just I got a weird where I was supposed to fix somebody else's sexism, and I was like, I can't.
So this
can't
person
do
was
it.
a male experiencing sexism from a female or from another male?
I skimmed it and put it in my spam folder.
Oh, it was an email?
Yeah, and it was easily 12. It started with, first you should know that I am diagnosed bipolar. And I was
Okay.
like, I am not a medical professional. You have got to see a medical professional. I am not the one.
I would say most meeting emails should begin that way to everybody. Let's level the playing field right off the bat. Don't make me wonder.
Right. What have I been diagnosed with, right? What do you got this week?
Oh, this week I have I'm doing the Barclay. Oh, I'm doing After Midnight on Wednesday.
Oh, good. Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then I'm doing the Barclay Wednesday night, and then Thursday night I have open. Hope I put in for a spot. Hopefully I'll get a spot. Tuesday night, which will have already passed, so it doesn't matter. But I was at the Bourbon Room. I'm at the Crow on Saturday, and Friday I'm doing a Don't Tell in Orange County, that sort of area, for Joseph Garcia again.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah.
I'm doing the Bourbon Room on Thursday.
Nice.
A live show called Family Dinner. And that's I think it's at like 7 o'clock. So 7 or 8 o'clock. So the Bourbon Room, I haven't been there yet. On Saturday, I'm doing a set in Altadena at 11 a.m. at the public display of Altadena.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I'm also doing a Yoo-Hoo Room Pardo show set that night, Saturday. And then Sunday, I'm opening for Maria and at the Irvine Levity. So
Ooh, I'm doing a Leslie Wolf show at Flappers Sunday 5 p.m. show. So that'll be an in and out early if you want to come to that, gang.
cool. And then next week I'm in Portland, so with Maria. So that'll be fun.
Yes, I'm at this one I'm plugging pretty hard. 28th, 29th, I'm at the Off Cabot in Beverly, which is near Boston. So if you're a Boston Jackie and Laurie listener, drive on over. Bring a friend. Let's convert somebody. Okay?
Yes. There you go.